The cold metal floor of Titan Station felt like ice against Kang Daeho's knees. Around him, 50,000 human workers knelt in the same position. Their alien guards stood tall above them, weapons ready. The reptilian Cortex soldiers had green scales that shined under the bright lights. Their eyes showed no feeling as they looked down at the humans. "You wanted better working conditions," said Commander Vextar, his voice like broken glass. "You wanted more food, more rest time, more rights." He walked slowly between the rows of kneeling humans. "Did you forget what you are?" "You are workers. Nothing more." Kang kept his head down, but his eyes moved. He counted the guards. 12 Cortex soldiers with energy rifles. 2 Vespian overseers with their bug-like faces watching from the upper walkway. The exit doors were locked. "No way out. The Galactic Federation has been very kind to your species," Vextar continued. "We gave you jobs when you had nothing. We taught you how to mine the precious crystals that power our ships. We fed you when you were hungry." His clawed hand grabbed the hair of a young human woman. But kindness has limits. The woman was Park Soo-jin. Kang knew her well, though the aliens did not know this. To them, she was just another worker. They did not know she was Earth's best scientist. They did not know she had been building weapons in secret for 20 years. "Today you learn what happens when humans forget their place," Vextar said. He raised his weapon toward Soo-jin's head. The execution was broadcast across all human colonies. From Earth to the mining stations around Jupiter, from the farm worlds to the factory ships, every human was forced to watch. The message was clear. Stay quiet, work hard. Do not ask for more. On Earth, Admiral Kang Daeho's brother watched the screen with tears in his eyes. The real Kang Daeho sat in a hidden room deep under the Pacific Ocean. Around him, screens showed every human colony in the galaxy. His staff worked quietly at their stations. They wore simple clothes that looked like worker uniforms. But these were not workers. These were Earth's secret military leaders. "Sir," said Captain Kim Min-ho, looking up from his screen. "The Titan Station broadcast is complete. All targets confirmed eliminated." Kang nodded slowly. His brother had volunteered for this mission. The man who died on Titan Station was a hero. He had lived as Admiral Kang Daeho for 5 years. The real admiral had been hiding here, planning for this day. "How many colonies reported the broadcast?" Kang asked. "All 47, sir. Every human in the galaxy saw what happened." "Good. They need to see what the Federation really thinks of us." Kang stood up and walked to the main screen. It showed a map of the galaxy with red dots marking human colonies. "Contact Dr. Park Soo-jin on Research Station 7. "Sir, Dr. Park was killed on Titan Station. We just watched it happen." Kang smiled for the first time in weeks. That was Dr. Park's twin sister, Yoonjin. She also volunteered for this mission. "The real Dr. Park is safe in the lab." Kim looked confused but pressed the communication button. A woman's face appeared on the screen. She looked exactly like the woman who had just been killed. "Admiral," said Dr. Park Soo-jin, "I watched my sister die today. I think it's time. Are you ready, Doctor?" "We've been ready for 50 years. The weapons work. The ships are built. The soldiers are trained." She paused and looked directly at the camera. "Project Prometheus is ready to wake up." Kang turned to address his staff. "Send the activation codes to all colony leaders. Use the emergency channels. Tell them the waiting is over." Across the galaxy, humans who had pretended to be simple workers for decades began to move. On Kepler Station, Choi Sang-min put down his mining tools and walked to a hidden panel in the wall. His fingers pressed a secret code. The panel opened to show weapons and armor. On the asteroid mining base near Vega, Yoon-hee stopped fixing mining equipment. She walked to what looked like a broken machine. But when she touched it in the right way, it opened like a flower. Inside were communication devices that connected to every human in the system. In the Jupiter system, Captain Oh Tae-hyun sat in what looked like a cargo ship. But this was not a cargo ship. The containers on the outside were fake. Inside was a warship more advanced than anything the Federation had ever seen. He pressed a button and the fake containers fell away. The real ship underneath was black as space and covered in weapons. The Federation had watching stations all around the solar system. These stations kept track of everything that moved near Earth. They made sure humans did not build weapons or warships. For 200 years, these stations had reported the same thing. Humans were weak. Humans were harmless. Humans were under control. But today, something changed. The watching stations stopped sending reports. One by one, they went silent. No explosions. No distress calls. They just stopped working. On the Federation capital world of Nexus Prime, the alien leaders noticed the silence. The Korthek generals looked at their screens with worry. The Vespian queen mind felt something she had never felt before. Fear. What happened to our watching stations? Asked Supreme Chancellor Vorthak. He was an energy being who had lived for 10,000 years. Nothing had ever scared him before. We don't know, sir, said General Zektos. They stopped reporting at exactly the same time. All of them. Send ships to investigate. We already did, sir. The ships arrived at the station locations, but... The general paused. There's nothing there. Not destroyed, not damaged, just gone. Like they never existed. Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral Kang received reports from around the galaxy. All Federation watching stations eliminated, reported Captain Kim. No evidence left behind. Phase 1 complete, said Dr. Park from her hidden laboratory. The Federation knows something is wrong, but they don't know what. How long before they figure it out? Asked Kang. Not long. Our ships are moving into position now. Captain Lee De-Yoon reports that the Mars fleet is ready. Captain Ryu Jae-sung says the Europa squadron is armed and waiting. Kang looked at the galaxy map again. For 200 years, humans had been slaves. They had been treated like animals. They had been killed when they asked for basic rights. But the Federation had made one big mistake. They had given humans time to plan, time to build, time to get angry. Send a message to Ambassador Lee Hyun-woo, Kang ordered. Tell him to make one final request to the Federation Council. Ask them nicely to free all human slaves and give us equal rights. Sir, we both know they will refuse. Yes. But we need them to refuse. We need the galaxy to see that we tried peace first. Kang's eyes were hard as stone. When they say no, we will show them what humans really are. The message was sent. Ambassador Lee, who had spent 30 years begging the Federation for basic human rights, prepared to make one last try. He knew they would refuse. He knew what would happen next, but the galaxy did not know. The galaxy thought humans were weak and helpless. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Ambassador Lee Hyun-woo stood in the Great Hall of the Federation Council. The building was huge, with walls that reached up so high he could barely see the top. Around him sat the most powerful beings in the galaxy. The Korthek Empire controlled 300 star systems. The Vespian Collective had ships in every corner of space. The energy beings called the Zephyrians had lived since the galaxy was young. All of them looked down at him like he was an insect. Speak quickly, human, said Council Leader Mordak. His reptilian face showed disgust. We have important matters to discuss after we deal with your request. Lee had made this speech many times before. Each time he hoped things would be different. Each time he was disappointed. But today felt different. Today, he knew what was coming next. Honored council members, Lee began, I come before you once again to ask for basic rights for the human species. We request an end to the slave labor system. We ask for fair treatment in the courts. We want the right to govern our own colonies. The council members laughed. The sound echoed through the great hall like thunder. The same requests, said General Vexnar of the Korthek. Always the same boring requests. Have you not learned yet? Humans exist to serve. That is your purpose. You mine our crystals, added Queen Mind Zistara of the Vespians. You build our ships. You grow our food. Why would we change a system that works so well? Because it's wrong, Lee said quietly. Because we are people, not tools. More laughter. Chancellor Vorthak, the ancient energy being who led the council, floated down from his high seat. His form looked like blue fire wrapped in the shape of a person. Wrong? Vorthak's voice sounded like wind through metal. I have lived for 10,000 years, little human. I have seen species rise and fall. I have watched civilizations be born and die. In all that time, I have learned one truth. The strong rule the weak. That is the way of the universe. Then I have a new proposal, Lee said. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small device. The council guards moved forward, but Lee held up his hand. This is just a communication device. I want to show you something. More human tricks? Asked Mordak. More of your pathetic technology? Something like that. Lee pressed a button on the device. Captain Kim, are you there? A voice came from the device, clear and strong. Yes, Ambassador. We're ready. Show them. High above the Federation capital world, something impossible happened. The space around the planet had been empty except for the usual Federation patrol ships. But suddenly new ships appeared. They did not come from hyperspace. They did not fly in from distant stars. They just appeared, like they had been hiding in plain sight. The ships were huge and black as the space between stars. Their hulls were smooth and curved in ways that hurt to look at. They moved without sound, without the bright engines that all Federation ships used. They moved like ghosts. Captain Kim Min-ho stood on the bridge of his ship, the UES Incheon. Around him, his crew worked at stations that looked nothing like the simple mining equipment the Federation thought humans used. These were weapons controls, navigation systems, shields that could stop anything the Federation could throw at them. "Sir," said Lieutenant Nam Hyejin at the sensor station, "all Federation ships in the system are moving to intercept. 12 heavy cruisers and 40 escort ships." "Good," said Kim. "Let them come close. They need to see what we really are." On the planet below, the Federation Council watched their screens in confusion. The alien generals shouted orders to their fleets. But something was wrong. Their ships were having trouble getting close to the human vessels. "What's happening?" demanded General Vexnar. "Why are our ships moving so slowly?" The answer came from Dr. Park Soo-jin, broadcasting from her secret laboratory deep inside an asteroid near Mars. Her face appeared on every screen in the council chamber. "Time dilation fields," she said simply. "Your ships are moving through time at a different speed than our ships. What feels like normal speed to you is actually very slow to us." The council members stared at the screen. Dr. Park looked exactly like the woman they had watched die on Titan, stationed just days before. "Impossible," whispered Queen Mind Zastara. "We killed you. We watched you die." "You killed my sister," Dr. Park replied. "She volunteered for that mission. She wanted you to think I was dead. It was easier to work in secret that way." "Secret work?" Chancellor Vorthak moved closer to the screen. "What secret work?" Dr. Park smiled. "For 200 years you have watched us. You put sensors on our colonies. You counted our ships. You measured our technology. You thought you knew everything about humans." She paused. "But you only saw what we wanted you to see." In space above the planet, the Federation fleet finally reached the human ships. They opened fire with their most powerful weapons. Energy beams that could melt mountains struck the human vessels. Nothing happened. The beams hit the ships and simply disappeared. "Quantum absorption armor," explained Dr. Park. "Your energy weapons just make our ships stronger." General Vexnar was shouting orders now. "Use the kinetic weapons. Fire everything." The Federation ships launched missiles and railgun projectiles. Thousands of tons of metal and explosives flew toward the human fleet. Captain Kim watched calmly as the weapons approached. "Shields up," he ordered. The space around the human ships began to glow. Not with energy shields like the Federation used, but with something else. The attacking weapons struck the glow and began to slow down. Then they stopped. Then they turned around and flew back toward the Federation ships. "Gravitational manipulation," said Dr. Park. "We can control gravity itself. Your weapons obey us now." The returned weapons struck the Federation fleet. Explosions bloomed like flowers in the darkness. Half the Federation ships were destroyed by their own weapons. In the council chamber, silence fell like a heavy blanket. The most powerful beings in the galaxy watched their proud fleets being defeated by humans they had thought were primitives. "How?" whispered Mordak. "How is this possible?" Ambassador Lee smiled for the first time in 30 years. "You gave us 200 years to learn. 200 years to plan. 200 years to build." He looked around the chamber at the shocked faces. "Did you think we spent all that time just digging crystals?" On screens around the galaxy, other human colonies were revealing their secrets. The mining station at Kepler showed its true purpose. The outer shell fell away to reveal a massive weapons factory. Weapons that had been built in secret for decades. The farming colony on New Terra opened hidden doors in the ground. Thousands of human soldiers marched out. But these were not the weak, tired workers the Federation expected. These humans were tall and strong. Their movements were too fast. Their eyes glowed with inner light. "Genetic enhancement," explained Dr. Park. "We didn't just build better weapons, we built better humans." Captain Oh Tae-hyun, commanding the Jupiter fleet, appeared on the communication channels. Around him, ships that had looked like simple cargo vessels were transforming. The fake cargo containers fell away. Weapons emerged from hidden compartments. Engine ports opened to reveal technology that made Federation ships look like ancient relics. For 200 years we pretended to be your servants, O said. We acted weak. We acted stupid. We let you think you were the masters of the galaxy. His voice grew cold. But we were always planning for this day. The Federation Council members looked at each other in growing panic. The Korthic generals were calling for reinforcements. The Vespian Queen Mind was sending mental commands to her war fleets across the galaxy. The Zephyrian energy beings were preparing their most powerful weapons, but it was too late. The deception had been perfect. For 2 centuries, humans had lived among them as slaves and servants. They had repaired Federation ships and learned how they worked. They had mined Federation crystals and learned how to use them. They had studied Federation technology and found ways to make it better. You taught us everything, said Lee to the council. Every time you used your weapons near us, we studied them. Every time you brought us to your shipyards, we memorized the designs. Every time you spoke in your secret languages, we learned the words. Chancellor Vorthak rose high above the chamber, his energy form blazing with anger. You dare challenge the Federation? We have ruled this galaxy for 3,000 years, and we have been watching you for 200 of those years, Lee replied. Learning, planning, waiting. He pressed another button on his device. Admiral Kang, are we ready to proceed? Admiral Kang Deho's voice came through clearly. All human fleets are in position, Ambassador. All colonies are secure. All weapons are armed. There was a pause. The Federation has one chance to avoid what comes next. What comes next? Demanded Vorthak. Lee looked around the chamber one last time. We offered you peace. We asked for rights. We begged for justice. You refused all of it. He turned toward the exit. Now you get to see what humans are really capable of when our patience finally runs out. As Lee walked away, the screens around the chamber showed human fleets appearing in every major Federation system. Ships that had been invisible now showed themselves. Weapons that had been hidden now powered up. Soldiers who had pretended to be workers now stood ready for war. The galaxy was about to learn a new truth. Humans were not the weak servants they had pretended to be. They were something much more. The war began at exactly midnight, Federation Standard Time. Across the galaxy on 200 Federation military bases, the same thing happened at the same moment. Human ships appeared from nowhere. They attacked with weapons the Federation had never seen before. Then they vanished, leaving nothing behind. Admiral Kang Deho watched the reports come in from his command center deep under Earth's ocean. Each report was the same. Complete success. No human losses. No Federation survivors. Kepler Base 7 destroyed, reported Captain Kim Minho. Attack duration, 11 minutes 14 seconds. Vega Military Station eliminated, said Lieutenant Yoon Yoon-hee. Attack duration, 11 minutes 9 seconds. Centauri Shipyard obliterated, announced Captain Oh Tae-hyun. Attack duration, 11 minutes 22 seconds. Every attack lasted almost exactly 11 minutes. This was not by accident. Admiral Kang wanted the Federation to notice the pattern. He wanted them to understand that this was not random violence. This was careful planning. On Nexus Prime, the Federation Council emergency meeting had been going for 6 hours. The reports kept coming in. Military bases throughout the galaxy were being destroyed, but the attacks made no sense. How are they doing this? General Vexnar slammed his clawed fist on the table. Our bases have shields. They have weapons. They have early warning systems. The early warning systems detected nothing, replied Admiral Korthek of the Space Fleet. Our sensors showed empty space. Then suddenly human ships were there. Then they were gone. Chancellor Vorthak studied the reports with growing concern. In 10,000 years of life, he had never seen anything like this. What weapons did they use? That's the strange part, said Chief Science Officer Meltar. We can't tell. The bases weren't blown up. They weren't melted by energy weapons. They just stopped existing. Queen Mind Zisatara of the Vespians was feeling something new. Fear. Her collective consciousness connected millions of beings across the galaxy. Through their eyes, she had watched human ships appear and disappear like ghosts. They're using technology we don't understand, she said. Technology that should be impossible. Meanwhile, Captain Oh Tae-hyun was preparing for the largest battle of the first day. His target was Centauri Prime, the Federation's biggest shipyard. This was where they built their most powerful warships. Destroying it would hurt their ability to fight back. Oh stood on the bridge of his ship, the UES Busan. Around him, His crew worked at controls that looked like art more than technology. The walls of the bridge showed the space around them as if they were standing in open vacuum. "Sir," said Navigator Park Jiwan, "we're approaching the target. Federation sensors still can't see us." "Good. How many ships are defending the shipyard?" 237 Federation vessels. 12 heavy battleships. 48 cruisers. The rest are escorts and fighters. O nodded. "And how many ships do we have?" 12, sir. O smiled. The Federation thought numbers mattered. They were about to learn otherwise. "Take us out of stealth mode," O ordered. "Let them see us." The space around Centauri Prime had been empty except for Federation ships. Then 12 human vessels appeared. They were smaller than the Federation battleships, but there was something about them that made the aliens nervous. They moved wrong. They bent light around them in strange ways. They seemed to exist slightly apart from normal space. Admiral Torvak commanded the Federation Defense Fleet. He had fought in 100 battles and won them all, but something about these human ships made his scales itch with worry. "All ships attack formation," he ordered. "Destroy the human vessels." The Federation fleet moved to surround the human ships. Energy weapons charged up. Missile tubes loaded. 200 ships prepared to destroy 12. O watched the Federation ships move into position. "Dr. Park, are the new weapons ready?" Dr. Park Sujin's voice came through the communication system from her laboratory. "Singularity torpedoes are armed and ready. Quantum displacement drives are online. Reality anchor systems are active. Begin the demonstration." What happened next broke every rule of space combat the Federation knew. The human ships didn't fire normal weapons. Instead, they released dark spheres that moved toward the Federation fleet. The spheres looked small and harmless. When the first sphere touched a Federation battleship, the ship began to collapse. Not explode, collapse. The metal hull folded in on itself like paper. The ship became smaller and smaller until it vanished into a point of absolute darkness. "What in the void was that?" screamed Admiral Torvak. The answer came from Lieutenant Nam Hee-jin on O's ship. "Artificial black holes," she explained calmly. "We create a tiny singularity that collapses matter at the quantum level. The ship doesn't just get destroyed. It gets compressed out of existence." More spheres flew from the human ships. Each one touched a Federation vessel. Each vessel collapsed and disappeared. In less than 3 minutes, half the Federation fleet was gone. "All ships, retreat," ordered Torvak. "Fall back to defensive positions." But retreating didn't help. The human ships began to phase in and out of normal space. One moment they were there, the next they were gone. Then they appeared behind the Federation ships or above them, or inside their defensive formations. Captain Seo Ji-hoon commanded one of the human vessels. His ship, the UES Gwangju, moved through space like a shark through water. Federation weapons fired at where it had been, but it was never there when the shots arrived. "Sir," said his weapons officer, "we're getting multiple target locks from Federation ships." "Let them lock on," SEO replied. "Fire the quantum disruptors." Invisible beams shot from Seo's ship toward the Federation vessels. When the beams hit, strange things happened. Some ships suddenly found themselves moving backwards through time. Others discovered their weapons were firing on their own fleet. A few simply forgot how to exist and faded away like old memories. Admiral Torvak watched his fleet being destroyed by weapons that shouldn't exist. In 30 years of military service, he had never seen anything like this. The human ships moved through space like they owned it. They bent reality around them like it was made of soft clay. "Send a distress signal," he ordered. "Tell the Council we need reinforcements. Tell them..." He paused as another of his ships simply stopped existing. "Tell them the humans are using impossible technology." On the second day of the war, the Federation's Grand Fleet arrived at Wolf 359. This was their most powerful military force. 1,200 ships commanded by their best admirals. They had never lost a battle. Admiral Seo Ji-hoon met them with just 40 human vessels. The battle lasted exactly 90 seconds. When it was over, the Federation's Grand Fleet was debris floating in space. The debris was arranged in perfect geometric patterns that spelled out words in human writing. The message was simple. You had 200 years to be kind. On Nexus Prime, the Federation Council met in emergency session again. The reports from Wolf 359 had arrived an hour ago. Their most powerful fleet was gone. Destroyed by a human force 1/30th their size. "How?" whispered General Vexenar. "How did they destroy 1,200 ships with 40? The answer came from an unexpected source. Dr. Park Soo-jin's face appeared on every screen in the council chamber. She was broadcasting from her secret laboratory. "You're asking the wrong question," she said. "You should ask why we used 40 ships instead of one." "One ship?" Chancellor Vorthak leaned forward. "You could have destroyed our grand fleet with one ship?" "We could have done it with no ships at all," Dr. Park replied. "We have weapons that can strike any target from any distance instantly. We used 40 ships because we wanted your survivors to see how it was done." "Survivors?" Queen Mind Zestera asked. "You said the entire fleet was destroyed." "I said the fleet was destroyed. I didn't say everyone died." Dr. Park's image smiled coldly. "We left 10 ships intact. Just the crew quarters. The survivors are floating in space right now, watching their fleet's debris spelling out our message." The third day brought something new. Terror. Human ships began appearing in the skies above Federation worlds. Not to attack, just to hover there silent and threatening. On each world the same thing happened. The human ships broadcast a message in every local language. Captain Lee Da-Yun commanded the human task force above the Korthek homeworld. Her ship, the UES Sol, hung in the sky like a dark moon. Below, billions of reptilian beings looked up in fear. "People of Korthek Prime," her voice echoed across the planet. "For 300 years your empire has ruled through fear. You have enslaved weaker species. You have destroyed those who resisted. You have believed that strength gives you the right to do anything. On the planet below, General Rextar commanded the planetary defenses. Thousands of weapons pointed up at the human ship, but his claws shook as he gripped the firing controls. Today you learn what it feels like to be weak," Lee continued. "You learn what it means to have someone stronger than you decide your fate." Her voice grew quiet. "You had 200 years to learn kindness. You chose cruelty instead. Rextar couldn't take it anymore. All weapons fire," he screamed. Every gun on the planet fired at once. Energy beams that could melt mountains struck the human ship. Nuclear missiles exploded against its hull. Kinetic projectiles moving at near light speed slammed into its shields. Nothing happened. The ship didn't even move, thank you. On the fourth day of the war, Captain Jeon Min-seo stood in the most secure room in the galaxy. The Federation Council chamber on Nexus Prime was built 12 kilometers underground. It was protected by energy shields, gravity barriers, and solid rock. No one could enter without permission. No one could break through the defenses, except Captain John was standing there anyway. The Federation Council members stared at her in shock. She was a young human woman, with short black hair and simple clothes. She looked like any other human worker they had seen millions of times before, but she had walked through 12 kilometers of solid rock like it was air. "Good morning," she said politely. "I hope I'm not interrupting anything important." Chancellor Vorthak's energy form blazed with anger and fear. "How did you get in here?" "This chamber is impossible to breach." "Impossible is a word that doesn't mean much to humans anymore," John replied. She walked over to the massive conference table, a piece of metal that weighed 50 tons. She picked it up with one hand and moved it aside like it was made of paper. "You wanted to see humanity's genetic optimization program. Well, here I am." General Vexenar reached for his weapon but stopped when Jeon looked at him. Her eyes glowed with inner light. "I wouldn't," she said softly. "Your weapon works by firing energy bursts. I can redirect energy with my thoughts. Your gun is more dangerous to you than to me right now." "What do you want?" asked Queen Mind Zestera. Her collective consciousness was screaming with terror. Through millions of eyes across the galaxy, she could see human soldiers appearing in places they shouldn't be able to reach. "I want to deliver a message from Admiral Kang," Jeon said. She sat down in one of the council chairs. "He says you have 24 hours to surrender." After that we stopped being polite. Polite? Mordak's reptilian face showed disbelief. "You call destroying our fleets polite? We call it a demonstration. You still don't understand what you're facing." John stood up. "For 200 years we lived among you as slaves. We repaired your machines and learned how they worked. We served your food and listened to your conversations. We cleaned your buildings and studied your technology." She walked around the chamber looking at each council member in turn. "But we also did something else. We adapted ourselves. Every generation of humans became stronger, faster, smarter, more resilient. We didn't just build better weapons, we built better people." To prove her point, John moved faster than the aliens could see. One moment she was across the room. The next, she was standing next to Chancellor Vorthak. She reached out and touched his energy form with her bare hand. Vorthak screamed. No physical being had ever been able to touch his energy form before. It should have been impossible. 2 centuries of genetic enhancement, John explained. We can interact with matter and energy in ways your science says shouldn't work. She stepped back. That's just what one enhanced human can do. Would you like to see what our soldiers can accomplish? The answer came from orbit above Nexus Prime. Admiral Quan Dong-hyuk commanded the UES Seoul, one of humanity's newest warships. Around his ship, 7 massive Federation vessels approached. These were planet killers, orbital bombardment platforms that could destroy entire worlds. Sir, reported Lieutenant N. So Young at the weapons station, the Federation planet killers are powering up their main weapons. Each one is capable of sterilizing a world. How long until they're ready to fire? Asked Quan. 30 seconds, sir. Quan nodded calmly. Activate the reality anchor. What happened next redefined the word impossible. The space around Quan's ship began to change. Reality itself became flexible, like soft clay in the hands of a sculptor. The laws of physics bent and twisted according to human will. The 7 planet killers fired their world-destroying weapons. Beams of pure annihilation lanced toward Quan's ship. But when the beams reached the reality anchor field, something incredible happened. The beams turned around. Instead of destroying the human ship, they flew back toward the Federation vessels that had fired them. In seconds, all 7 planet killers were destroyed by their own weapons. Report to Admiral Kang, Quan ordered. Tell him the planet killer threat has been eliminated. On the 5th day, Dr. Shin Yu-jin activated the most terrifying weapon humanity had ever built. From her laboratory hidden in the asteroid belt, she sent a signal that reached every star in Federation space. The stars began to dance. On 1,000 Federation worlds, beings looked up at their suns and saw something that filled them with primal terror. Solar flares erupted in patterns that spelled out words in human writing. Corona discharges formed letters and numbers. The very stars were writing messages in the sky. Surrender or become extinct, the stars wrote, over and over in every language known to the galaxy. On the Vespian homeworld, Queen Mind Zastara felt her collective consciousness recoil in horror. Her species had worshipped their sun for millions of years. Now that sun was writing threats in the sky. How? She broadcast to every Vespian in the galaxy. How are they controlling our star? The answer came from Dr. Shin, her image appearing on communication networks across the galaxy. Stellar manipulation technology, she explained. We can adjust magnetic fields, solar winds, and fusion reactions from anywhere in the galaxy. Your stars work for us now. General Rextar on Korthek Prime watched his son spell out human words and felt something he had never experienced before. Complete helplessness. They control the stars themselves, he whispered to his aides. How do you fight beings who can command the heavens? But the Federation wasn't ready to surrender yet. They activated their most secret weapon. Deep in the core of Nexus Prime, ancient machines came to life. These were Zephyrian constructs built by energy beings 10,000 years ago. They could unmake matter at the quantum level. Chancellor Vorthak himself controlled the machines. His energy form merged with the ancient technology. Power beyond imagination flowed through him. He reached across space toward Earth, intending to erase the human homeworld from existence. The attack never reached Earth. It stopped at the edge of the solar system, where it encountered something unexpected, a barrier made of folded space and twisted time. The Zephyrian quantum unmaking beam struck the barrier and simply stopped existing. What is that? Demanded Vorthak. What kind of defense can stop a quantum unmaking beam? The answer came from Admiral Kang himself, broadcasting from his command center deep under Earth's ocean. That's not a defense, he said. That's a nursery. The image on the screen showed Earth as the Federation had never seen it before. The planet wasn't just a world. It was the center of a vast construction project that had been going on for 2 centuries. Rings of metal and energy surrounded the planet. Space itself had been restructured, turned into a fortress that protected not just Earth but the entire solar system. You see, Kang continued, we knew you would try to destroy our homeworld eventually, so we spent 200 years making Earth impossible to destroy. The solar system isn't just our home anymore, it's our weapon. To prove his point, Kang activated Earth's defensive systems. Energy that had been invisible suddenly became visible. The entire solar system was revealed to be one massive machine. Every planet, every moon, every asteroid was connected by streams of power and information. The machine reached out toward Nexus Prime. Reality itself bent around the Federation capital world. Gravity reversed. Time flowed backwards. Space folded in on itself. "Stop!" screamed Chancellor Vorthak. "You'll destroy everything." "That's the point," Kang replied. "You wanted to see humanity's true power. This is it. We don't just build weapons. We turn entire star systems into weapons." The demonstration lasted exactly 1 minute. Then Kang turned off the machine. Nexus Prime returned to normal, but the message was clear. Earth could reach across the galaxy and unmake any world it chose. On planets throughout Federation space, governments began to surrender. The Rigel Empire sent a white flag message to the nearest human ship. The Deneb Confederacy offered to join humanity as allies. The Canopus Trade Federation begged for mercy. But the most important surrender came from an unexpected source. Commander Ryu Jae-sung was leading the assault on Vespian Prime when something impossible happened. The planet's shields dropped. The orbital defenses shut down. Every military installation simply stopped working. "Sir," reported his communications officer, "we're receiving a message from the planet. It's from the Queen Mind herself." The image of Zestara appeared on Ryu's screen. The insectoid ruler of the Vespian collective looked beaten and afraid. "Commander Ryu," she said, "I speak for every Vespian in the galaxy. We surrender. Completely and without conditions, please. Please stop the war." Ryu was surprised. "Your Majesty, we haven't even begun the ground assault yet." "Why are you surrendering now?" "Because I felt it," Zestara replied. "When your psychic warfare specialist touched our hive mind network, I felt what humans really are. You're not just soldiers. You're not just scientists. You're something new, something the galaxy has never seen before." She paused, her insect features showing an emotion no Vespian had ever displayed before. "Fear. You're apex predators who learned to think. You're warriors who became philosophers. You're killers who chose to build instead of destroy. For 200 years you studied us while pretending to serve us. You learned this." The 6th day began with silence. Across the galaxy, Federation fleets floated dead in space. Their crews had abandoned their ships during the night. Planetary governors had fled their posts. Even the mighty Korthek Empire had lowered its flags and sent messages of surrender. But in the deep chambers of Nexus Prime, Chancellor Vorthak still refused to accept defeat. 10,000 years, he raged to the few council members who remained. 10,000 years I have ruled this galaxy. I will not bow to primitive humans. General Vexnar, his scales pale with fear, tried to reason with the ancient being. "Chancellor, they control the stars. They can rewrite reality. Our fleets are destroyed. What can we possibly do against them?" "We can die with honor," Vorthak replied. "Better to face extinction than to serve as slaves to our former slaves." But even as he spoke, Vorthak knew the truth. The war was over. Humanity had won so completely that continuing to fight would be nothing more than suicide. High above Nexus Prime, Admiral Kang Daeho's flagship, the UES Gwangju, waited in orbit. The massive ship was a work of art and terror, its hull covered in symbols that hurt to look at directly. Around it, the rest of the human fleet maintained perfect formation. On the bridge, Kang received the final reports from his officers. "All Federation military forces have either surrendered or abandoned their positions," announced Captain Kim Min-ho. "We have complete control of galactic space. Casualties on our side?" asked Kang. "Still 0, sir. We haven't lost a single person in 6 days of war." Dr. Park Soo-jin appeared on the communication screen from her laboratory. "Admiral, the council chambers are shielded against our transporters. Should we break through their defenses?" "No," Kang replied. "If Chancellor Vorthak wants to meet us, he can come here. Send him an invitation." The message was simple. "Chancellor Vorthak, you are invited to discuss terms aboard the UES Gwangju. Come alone and unarmed. You have 1 hour." Vorthak read the message and laughed bitterly. "They want me to come to them? To board their ship like a supplicant?" "Chancellor," urged Mordak, "they're offering to talk. That's more mercy than we showed humans for 200 years. Vorthak was silent for a long moment. Finally, he nodded. "Very well. If this is how my 10,000-year reign ends, let it end with dignity." An hour later, Chancellor Vorthak materialized on the bridge of the UES Gwangju. His energy form flickered with exhaustion and defeat. Around him, human officers worked at stations that seemed to bend reality around them. Admiral Kang stood waiting. He was a tall man with graying hair and eyes that had seen too much. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of 2 centuries of human suffering. "Chancellor Vorthak," Kang said formally, "thank you for coming." "I had little choice," Vorthak replied. "Your ships surround my world. Your weapons point at my people. What terms do you offer?" Before Kang could answer, Dr. Park spoke from her laboratory. "Before we discuss terms, there's something you need to understand." Her image appeared on the bridge screens. "Would you like to know how we really did all this?" Vorthak's energy form pulsed with curiosity despite his defeat. "Your weapons? Your technology? Yes, I would like to know how primitive humans developed such power." Dr. Park smiled. "We didn't develop it. We took it from you." "What?" "Every piece of technology you see, every weapon we used, every impossible ability we demonstrated, it all came from Federation science. We just made it better." She gestured, and the screens around the bridge showed images from across human history. Humans working on Federation ships. Humans repairing Federation equipment. Humans cleaning Federation laboratories. "For 200 years, your people watched us work," Dr. Park continued. "But you never watched what we took home with us. Every tool we touched, we studied. Every machine we repaired, we memorized. Every conversation you had in front of us, we recorded." Vorthak's form grew dimmer as understanding dawned. "You stole from us. We learned from you," Kang corrected. "The difference is important. You gave us access to Federation technology by making us your servants. You taught us your languages by forcing us to understand your orders. You showed us your weaknesses by treating us like furniture in your most secret meetings." Captain Lee Dayun stepped forward. "The genetic enhancements that let us interact with energy, based on Zephyrian biology that we studied while cleaning your temples. The reality manipulation technology, inspired by Vespian hive mind research that we read while serving your scientists. The stellar control systems, built from Cortex solar engineering that we learned while maintaining your power stations. The irony," said Dr. Park, "is that you had all the pieces to build these weapons yourselves. You just never thought to put them together. You were too busy fighting each other to see the bigger picture." Vorthak was silent for a long moment. "So our own knowledge was used to defeat us. Your knowledge combined with something you never had," Kang replied. "Patience. For 200 years we planned this moment. We knew that someday you would push us too far. We prepared for that day." The Chancellor's energy form flickered with what might have been respect. "And now? What happens to the Federation?" Kang gestured to Captain Kim, who activated the main display screen. It showed a map of the galaxy, but not as it had been. This was a new map with new borders and new names. "The Federation is dissolved," Kang announced. "Each species will govern itself. No more forced labor. No more slave colonies. No more empire built on the suffering of others." "And what about justice?" asked Vorthak. "What about punishment for 2 centuries of oppression?" "Justice would be doing to you what you did to us," said Captain Oh Tae-hyun, joining the conversation. "It would be making your people mine crystals in dangerous conditions. It would be forcing your children to work in factories. It would be treating you like animals." He paused, looking directly at the Chancellor. "But humans are not like you. We don't believe in ruling through fear." Kang pulled up another display. This one showed reconstruction plans for the galaxy. "Instead of punishment, we offer partnership. Instead of revenge, we offer cooperation. Work with us to build something better than the Federation ever was." "Partnership?" Vorthak seemed confused. "You could rule us completely. You could make us your slaves. Why would you offer partnership?" "Because ruling through fear only works until someone stronger comes along," answered Dr. Park. "We learned that lesson from watching the Federation. We won't make the same mistake." Captain John Min Seo, who had walked through solid rock to reach the Federation Council, spoke from her position near the weapons console. "We have the power to destroy any species that threatens us. But we also have the wisdom to know that destruction creates more problems than it solves. The terms humanity offered were simple and fair. Each Federation species would become independent. Human colonies would govern themselves. Trade between species would be voluntary and equal. Most importantly, no species would be allowed to enslave or oppress another." "And if someone breaks these rules?" asked Vorthak. Admiral Kang's expression grew cold. "Then they'll learn what happened to the Federation. We hope it won't be necessary." As the day continued, representatives from across the galaxy arrived to sign the new treaties. The Vespian Queen Mind came in person, her insectoid form humble and respectful. General Rextar of the Korthek Empire signed with claws that shook slightly. Even the proud energy beings of the Zephyrian Collective agreed to the terms. But the most important moment came when Captain Park Ji-won brought the final document for signature. It was the Treaty of Sol, named after humanity's star system. The treaty that would reshape the galaxy. Chancellor Vorthak read through the document one last time. "These terms are surprisingly generous," he said. "We learned generosity from the best teacher," replied Ambassador Lee Hyunwoo, who had been silent throughout most of the negotiations. "We learned it from watching what happens when generosity is absent." Vorthak signed the treaty with energy that flowed like liquid light. As his signature appeared on the document, something changed in the galaxy. For the first time in 3,000 years, no species ruled over another through force. "There is one more thing," said Admiral Kang as the ceremony concluded. "Something the galaxy needs to understand." The main screen activated, showing every major world in the galaxy. Kang's image appeared on billions of screens, reaching every intelligent being in known space. "People of the galaxy," he began. "6 days ago, the Federation made a choice. They chose to respond to our request for basic rights with violence and death. They chose to continue a system built on oppression and slavery." His voice grew stronger as he continued. "Humanity also made a choice. We chose to prepare for this day. We chose to develop the power to defend ourselves. We chose to plan for 200 years instead of acting in anger." The image shifted to show human colonies across the galaxy. Former slaves were now free citizens. Former workers were now leaders. Former prisoners were now protectors of their own worlds. "Today we make a new choice," Kang announced. "We choose to use our power wisely. We choose to build instead of destroy. We choose cooperation over domination." He paused, looking directly into the camera. "But let this be clear to all who might consider returning to the old ways. Humanity spent 200 years learning patience. We spent 6 days teaching the consequences.